there and welcome to pattern 4 in the Scrappy Holidays Cal. This one, as you can see, is for the super cute Santa's hat. It is a 3D version which you can put on a little doll or a Christmas decoration if you would like. And you can see here as well that I have 3 different versions. The pink one, I know it's not very Christmassy coloured, but I just wanted to see what sort of size difference it made. So you can see here I have 3 versions. This little version here is my little elf hat. So I worked 2 rounds in the green, then 3 rounds in the red, 3 rounds in the green, 3 rounds in the red and 2 rounds in the green before we started the brim. This one was made with 3 weight yarn, that's double knit yarn, and a 4mm hook. And it is 2.5 inches wide by approximately 2 inches tall. So it's a really cute size for a Christmas tree decoration. This red version was made with 3 weight yarn, again a DK, and this time I used a 5mm hook. So just for comparison, this one ended up being 3 inches long by about 2 3/4 inch tall. So there's not that much difference between these two. The pink version I made using 4 weight yarn and a 5mm hook. So you can see this one is significantly taller. So that one ended up being about 4.5 inches wide by 3.5 inches tall. So just as an example, you can use any weight yarn with any appropriate sized hook to make this pattern. Just be aware that the different yarn weights and the different hook sizes will make a significant difference to the size of your pattern. So just as a comparison with these two, both used a 5mm hook, but the red one used 3 weight or double knit yarn, and the white one used 4 weight or Aran yarn. So let's get started making our Santa hat. So to make our Santa hat, I'm using a pot skein of red that I had lying around, and I've also got a little bit of this creamy colour. I believe both are paint box Simply Aran. So we're going to start this one off with the magic ring. You can alternatively do a chain 4 and slip stitch to the first chain to join. I'll quickly show you how to do that. So we'll work our slip knot as you would ordinarily, and we'll attach that to our hook. Then we will chain 4 and we will slip stitch to our first chain to join. And then what this does is it creates a little circle in the middle there. I don't know whether you can see that very well, but it does create a circle in the middle which you then use to work your stitches into. So if we're working a magic ring, we're going to get our yarn, make sure we have a decent length tail because we're going to be wrapping this around 2 fingers 1.5 times. We're going to take our forefinger and our middle finger and gently place it over the yarn. Then we are going to wrap our yarn around our fingers once, making sure it's on a slight diagonal. This will make part 2 easier. And then we will take our yarn and bring it up and cross it over that first thread, and then I'm going to hold it down with my finger. So then we'll take our hook, We'll insert it into the thread underneath. There should just be one other than the tail. And then we'll go up to where it's crossed and we'll take our hook over that crossed thread. Then we'll go under the thread at the back, making sure our hook picks that up as a loop, and pull it through. And then we can remove our fingers and work our magic ring. When we start working our next stitches, we need to make sure we go under both of those strips of yarn by chaining 2, which counts as a half double crochet, and then we're going to half double crochet 5 more times into the magic ring, making sure we go under both of those strands of the magic ring. So there's my first half double crochet. Just as a reminder, a half double crochet, yarn over, insert your hook, yarn over and pull through. So now you have 3 loops on your hook, yarn over and pull through all 3 loops on your hook. So we need to do that for a total of 5 half double crochets and 1 chain 2. Then once we've worked those stitches, we can grab the tail of our magic ring and give it a tug closed. And then we can slip stitch to the top of that chain 2 to join. So we have a total of 6 stitches because that chain 2 counts. Now for round 2, because we need, if I use the pink one to show you, because we're increasing the width as we go down this hat, we need to work some rows where we're not increasing, otherwise we'll end up with a circle. So we're going to chain 2, which counts as a half double crochet for this first stitch, and then we're going to half double crochet in each of the next 5 stitches. You may find it beneficial to pop a stitch marker in the top of that chain 2, just so you know where it is on your way back around. So we'll half double crochet in each of the next 5 stitches after that chain 2. So you can see it's kind of curling in on itself. Then we need to join, slip stitch to join the top of that chain 2. Round 3 is an increase row, so we have 6 stitches here. At the end of round 3 we'll end up with 9 stitches. So we need to work our chain 2. I'm just going to turn my little circle inside out so that my tail is on the inside, because I find that easier to see the stitches. So I've worked my chain 2 and that counts as 1 stitch. And then we need to work 2 half double crochets into the next stitch. And then 1 half double crochet into the next stitch, and 2 half double crochets into the next stitch. Just take that tail out of the way. And then we'll work 1 half double crochet into the next stitch, and 2 half double crochets into the next stitch. and then we can slip stitch to the top of that chain 2 to join. And this is what it's looking like at the end of round 3. So you can see it's a kind of a bit like the start of a thimble. So for round 4, we're going to chain 2, and then we're going to work 1 half double crochet in each stitch around. So at the end of this round, we will have 9 stitches. 1, 2, and then we will slip stitch to the top of the chain 2 to join. So for round 5, again we're going to chain 2 to start, and then we're going to half double crochet into that next stitch. And then we're going to work 2 half double crochets into the next stitch. And then we will half double crochet into each of the next 2 stitches. So half double crochet in the next stitch, and then half double crochet into the next stitch. And then we will work 2 half double crochets into that next stitch. And then we will half double crochet into the next stitch, and half double crochet into the next stitch, and 2 half double crochets into that next stitch. So now we have 12 stitches on this round, and we will slip stitch to the top of our chain 2 to join. And this is what we're looking like so far. You can see we're starting to get a bit wider. So for round 6, we're going to chain 2 to start, and then we're going to work 1 half double crochet in each stitch around. So we'll have 12 stitches by the end of this round. And then we're going to slip stitch to the top of that chain 2 that we started the round with. So this is definitely starting to look more like the top of our Santa hat. So for round 7, this one will be an increase row. Actually, I can take my tail and just get it out of the way. Right. Just pushing it inside the hat now that it's big enough. I've pushed it right down so it's out of the way of my stitches. So for round 7 we're going to chain 2 and we're going to half double crochet in the next 2 stitches. And then we're going to work 2 half double crochets in the next stitch. And then a half double crochet in each of the next 3 stitches. And then 2 half double crochets in the next stitch. And then half double crochet in each of the next 3 stitches. And then we will do 2 half double crochets in that last stitch. So at the end of this round we now have 15 stitches, and we're going to slip stitch to the top of that chain 2 to join. This is what we're looking at so far. So now let's start round 8. So this round is the last round where we are not increasing for the main body of the hat. So we're going to chain 2 and we're going to work 1 half double crochet in each stitch around. So at the end of this row we will have 15 stitches. And then we're going to slip stitch to the top of that chain 2 to join. So round 9, again we're going to start with our chain 2, which counts as the first stitch. Then we're going to half double crochet into the next stitch. And we're going to work 2 half double crochets into that next stitch. And then we're going to half double crochet in each of the next 4 stitches. And then 2 half double crochets in the next stitch. And half double crochet in each of the next 4 stitches. And then 2 half double crochets in the next stitch. And then we have 2 stitches left, so we're just going to half double crochet in both of those stitches. and then we will slip stitch to the top of our chain 2 to join. So for round 10 we will chain 2 and we will half double crochet in each of the next 4 stitches. And then we'll work 2 half double crochets in that next stitch, and a half double crochet in each of the next 5 stitches. And then 2 half double crochets in the next stitch, and a half double crochet in each of the next 5 stitches. And then we're going to slip stitch to the top of our chain 2 to join. So at the end of round 10 we had 21 stitches. For round 11 we're going to chain 2 and we're going to half double crochet in the next 2 stitches. And then we'll work 2 half double crochets in the next stitch, and then we're going to half double crochet in each of the next 6 stitches. And then we'll work 2 half double crochets in the next stitch, and half double crochet in each of the next 6 stitches. And then 2 half double crochets in the next stitch, and then we will work a half double crochet into each of the last 3 stitches. And we will slip stitch to the top of our chain 3 to join. And this is what we are looking like at the end of round 11. We will have 24 stitches so far along the top. So we've got 2 more rounds left of the main body of the hat. So round 12 we will chain 2, which counts as our first half double crochet, and we will work half double crochet in each of the next 6 stitches. And then 2 half double crochets into the next stitch. And then a half double crochet into each of the next 7 stitches. And then 2 half double crochets into the next stitch. And a half double crochet into the next 7 stitches. And then we have 1 stitch left, and we're going to work 2 half double crochets into that last stitch. And then we will slip stitch to the top of that chain 2 to join. So at the end of round 12 we now have 27 stitches all the way around. Round 13 we're going to chain 2, and we're going to half double crochet into each of the next 3 stitches. And then we will work 2 half double crochets into the next stitch. And we will half double crochet into each of the next 8 stitches. And then we'll work 2 half double crochets into the next stitch. And we'll work 1 half double crochet into each of the next 8 stitches. And then we'll work 2 half double crochets into the next stitch. And we have 4 stitches left. We're going to half double crochet into each of those 4 stitches. And at the end of this round we will have 30 stitches. And then we're going to slip stitch to the top of that chain 2 to join. Now at this point we are going to start the trim around the bottom of our hats. So I'm going to fasten off that red yarn, and then I'm going to attach the cream that I'm using here. So I've attached that cream. So just a note, when we work this part, we're actually working the texture on the inside of the hat. So I'll show you on the big one. This is how the outside's going to look, and once we've worked this texture part, we fold it back onto the hat. So make sure you're comfortable with which side is the inside and which side is the outside of your Santa hat. It makes no difference, but if you need to turn it now. So we're going to chain 1, and we're going to single crochet in each stitch around. So this chain 1 does not count as a stitch. So I'm going to single crochet into that first stitch and every stitch around. So at the end of this round we will have 30 single crochets. And then we're going to slip stitch to that first single crochet to join. Just give that white yarn a bit of a tug. So round 15 we're going to chain 4, which counts as a treble crochet, or a double treble if you're in the UK. And then we're going to slip stitch into the next stitch. Note here, do not work your slip stitches tight because you will be working into them on the next round. In the next stitch we're going to work a treble crochet, so we will yarn over twice, insert our hook into that next stitch to be worked, yarn over and pull through. So now we have 4 loops on our hook. Then we'll yarn over, pull through 2 loops, so we're left with 3 loops on our hook. Yarn over and pull through 2 loops, so we're left with 2 loops on our hook. And yarn over and pull through 2 loops, so we're left with 1 loop on our hook, and that is our treble crochet completed. Then in the next stitch we're going to work another slip stitch. Remember, do not work it too tightly. And in the next stitch we're going to work a treble crochet. So we'll yarn over twice, insert our hook into the next stitch to be worked, yarn over and pull through. So now we have 4 loops in our hook. Yarn over, pull through 2 loops, so we're left with 3 loops in our hook. Yarn over, pull through 2 loops, so we're left with 2 loops. And yarn over and pull through both of those loops. And then we will slip stitch into the next stitch and treble crochet into the next stitch. And we will follow that pattern, a slip stitch and a treble crochet, all the way around. We will finish with a slip stitch. So I'll meet you at the end of this round. So here I am. I need to work a slip stitch into that last stitch, and then I will slip stitch into the top of that chain 4 to join. And you can see we've got that bobbly texture starting on the inside. So for round 16 we're going to chain 2, and we're going to half double crochet into the top of each treble crochet and each slip stitch around. So the chain 2 counts as a half double crochet. So we need to find that first slip stitch and work our half double crochet. And then you might find that actually your front loops, your front and back loops that we need to work into for that treble crochet are actually almost lying flat on the back. So we'll half double crochet into them, and then we'll half double crochet into that slip stitch and half double crochet into that next treble crochet and half double crochet into that slip stitch, and we'll do that all the way around the row. At the end of this row we will still have our stitch count at 30, and then once we reach the end we're just going to slip stitch into the top of that chain 2 to join. So that's what it looks like on the right side, and this is what it's looking like on the inside. So for round 17 we're actually going to repeat round 15. So we're going to start with a chain 4, which counts as a treble crochet, and then we're going to do a loose slip stitch into the next stitch, and we will treble crochet into that next stitch. So once more, yarn over twice, insert your hook into the next stitch to be worked, yarn over and pull through. So now we have 4 loops in our hook. Yarn over, pull through 2 loops, so we're left with 3 loops in our hook. Yarn over and pull through 2 loops, so we're left with 2 loops in our hook, and yarn over and pull through both of those loops, and then slip stitch into the next stitch. And we're going to treble crochet into the next stitch and slip stitch into the next stitch all of the way around until we reach that beginning. We'll finish our row with a slip stitch, and I'll meet you at the end. So now we're at the end of that round. I'm just going to slip stitch to the top of that chain 4 to join, and then for round 18 we're going to repeat round 16. So we are going to chain 2, and we were going to half double crochet into the top of each slip stitch and treble crochet all of the way around. And then once we get to the end of that round, we are going to slip stitch to the top of our chain 2 to join. If I can get my hook to go through, there we go. And then we're going to leave quite a long tail, enough to go around the hat a couple of times. Cut our yarn and fasten off. And then what we can do is curl up that brim. Now with this bit you can see that's going to fold over just like that. So now we need to add our pom-pom to the top of the hat. So what we're going to do is make sure our hat's quite flat, and we're going to insert our hook at the top of round 1, between rounds 1 and 2, and we're going to push it gently all the way through our hat. So you can see I have not gone through the magic ring that we started with, but it's gone through the center of the hat all the way through. Then we're going to grab our cream yarn again, and attach that. And then we're going to work a fairly easy bobble stitch. So we're going to yarn over, insert our hook back into those stitches, yarn over and pull through, and then we'll yarn over and pull through 2 loops on our hook, so we're left with 2 loops. Then we will yarn over and insert our hook into that same stitch again, yarn over and pull through, so now we have 4 loops in our hook, and we will yarn over and pull through 2 loops, so we're left with 3 loops in our hook. And then we will yarn over, insert our hook into the same stitch, yarn over and pull through, so now we have 5 loops in our hook, yarn over and pull through 2, so now we're left with 4 loops in our hook. And then we'll wrap our yarn over our hook, insert our hook into that same stitch, yarn over and pull through, yarn over, pull through 2 loops, so we're left with 5 loops in our hook. Now you can do that as many times as you like. I'm going to do it once more. Yarn over, insert your hook into the same stitch, yarn over and pull through, yarn over and pull through 2. So I'm left with 5 loops on my hook. If you're doing a bigger hat and you're using thinner scrap yarn for this, you might want to do a couple more just to make sure that your pom-pom doesn't look like it's lost most of its fur. And then we're going to yarn over and go through all of the loops in our hook. And then we will snip our yarn and fasten off. And that's the pom-pom element completed. Now what we're going to do to make this process easier is that at this point we're going to sew in our ends. So I will leave you to sew in your ends and we will come back in just a couple of moments. When it comes to sewing in the end for the bit that was around the trim of your hat, I advised you to leave quite a long tail. This is because for some yarns and some hook sizes, I mean this one it'll be fine, but sometimes it might not sit right, and sometimes you might just have to tack your trim to your hat. So to do that, what I would do is just the row that it joins onto, just hook one of the posts of your stitches when you're sewing, and do that a couple of times around. Whoops. So then I would weave into the white so you couldn't see it. And then once I've done a couple of inches, I would go to the row below and hook a post and sew it round the back. And you can do that all of the way around just to make sure that your trim isn't going to slip anywhere. So there I've caught that post there. So that is what our hat is looking like so far. So all that's left is to bend the hat as far down as you feel comfortable. As I say, with some size yarn and some hook sizes, it will just fold by itself. However, for some of the smaller size versions, you're going to have to give it a little bit of a helping hand. So what I would recommend here is grabbing some yarn that matches the main body of your hat. If I come out a little bit so you can see. And just on the underneath where it's not going to be visible, a little way down from the pom-pom, I'm going to attach the yarn, and I'm going to fold it and see where it touches, and I'm going to stitch it to the part where it's going to touch. It's basically just working a tack stitch in a couple of places just to secure your hat. You're not going to see the stitches, so that's absolutely fine. And then you can fasten it off. Whoops. And you can fasten off that yarn and sew in the ends. And then all that's left to do is to attach a ribbon or some more yarn and create a loop across the top. So if I show you how to do a chain loop like this one, you can see we need to go just a couple of stitches down from the edge. So we're going to pop our hook just a couple of stitches from the end all the way through and attach our yarn. Then we're going to chain 18 stitches. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, oops, 7, 8, 9, 10. So 18 would be the minimum. You can chain more or less if you would like to. And then we're going to go back through those stitches that we started with, yarn over, pull through and slip stitch to join. And then we will fasten off and weave in those ends. And that is our Santa hat completed. If you've enjoyed this tutorial today, please check out the other links in the description and hit like and subscribe for the channel to be notified of all future videos and tutorials. And I'll see you soon. Take care. Bye.